Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in pints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man that likes to watch a plethora of stuff that's unconnected to anything else. It's Frank. How are you today?
I am doing pretty well, my friend. I am unconnected to other stuff, but connected to you virtually, and that's boop. That's what we got.
I booped your nose on my computer
You
screen.
did.
You can't really tell what
virtual
I booped,
booping.
though.
I'll boop you back.
Yeah.
Boop. There we go.
Thanks. It's
That's
funny
weird.
that we're not actually in the center of the screen, so like I'm booping you in like a corner.
Yep. Same here.
It's not the same. Not
Corner
the same.
boops.
Corner
Yeah.
boops. All right, I want to stop booping you now.
Yes. Okay. Well, stop booping me.
It was like a thumb. Remember, like the thumb, like give the remember like a poking war on Facebook where you just keep going back and forth forever and ever and ever.
Yes.
It's like that, but better because it's not on Facebook.
Right.
Got him. Yeah.
Booyah.
Frank, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking. We were together in person recently, and we were talking about the Oskar Blues variety pack that
Yes.
I had, and this is, I think, just about the only one we didn't talk about. And I hadn't tried it until a couple of days after you left. But it is the, I think it's 1E, like the one with a Y, 1E IPA. And I think it's called that because it is a 100 calorie IPA.
Oh, a oney, a good old oney.
A oney.
I'll just have a oney.
Yeah, I will have a oney, honey. And it is, it's a really good IPA it's 100 calories, and it's like not super hoppy, not super bitter because of it. And so,
That's right, because I guess you have to keep the hops low, otherwise, because that's what's going to add a lot of the carbs.
Right, exactly. That and whatever malt they're using for this, probably wheat or barley, is probably lowered as well. So yeah, it's good. It's only 4% ABV, so it's a lower alcohol content, but 5 grams of carbs, and 100 calories. So this is like friendly to my diabetes as well, being
Nice.
low carb, and it's a legit tasting IPA.
I love that.
Recommend if you can get your hands on Oskar Blues. This was in a variety pack, a summer variety pack, but yeah, this is a great one. I don't know if they sell it in 6 packs or 12 packs on its own, but the Oskar Blues 1E IPA, do recommend.
Very good. So I discovered something this evening as I entered my fridge to be like, can't wait to record Beer with Geeks with my friend Frank Ramblings and drink a beer because it's been a long day. Open my fridge. There's no beer, Frank. What is a man to do? No, I know. My father-in-law has been very kind and has come to paint many of the rooms in my house for free. So I have been giving him beer as a thank you, as he works. And so, but all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I'm out.
I forgot to buy more. Right.
I do not have more. Haven't on the time to go. So I did something very uncouth for a warm day in the season that we're in, and I made a hot toddy.
Look at you, rebel!
I know.
Okay, what are the components? What kind of tea? What kind of whiskey? What are we?
So I actually ignored the tea completely.
Okay,
and I went whiskey and hot water.
Nice.
With maple syrup.
Ooh, maple syrup instead of honey.
Yes, because
Ooh.
we didn't have honey either.
I like the maple syrup. This is like
we didn't have agave, so like I was like, all right, maple syrup it is.
This is like a New England toddy. I like it.
Yeah, it's actually really good because you know that maple syrup and whiskey actually go really well together.
Amazing together. What kind of whiskey?
The one that you gave me,
Maker's Mark.
actually. Yeah,
Right on.
Yeah, that was a big bottle. I've
This is a big boy.
3 years.
Yes, it has.
And I'm still making my way, but I think I've got like 20-25% left.
All right.
In the bottle. So I made myself a double toddy because it's in a really big mug.
That's a big boy. That's a big mug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's a 12 mini
iPhone for scale. Yeah.
for scale.
It is. The mug is just about as tall as his iPhone 12 mini, folks. So so there you go. That is a nice big mug full of whiskey from a nice big bottle. And that's great. That's a good.
That's right.
That is a good. I approve. That is a good beverage
Thank you.
For a night such as this. So I love, as you noted, Frank Ramblings is my name. Rambling is my game, and I do love to ramble. And I feel like you and I have a lot of rambling catching up to do because we've both been watching, reading, consuming a lot of media. And it's sort of time for another sort of like quarterly catch up. Like, what have you been watching and reading and doing lately?
Correct. I agree because it's been as much as because a lot of times we get on here and we're like, all right, superhero slapback, or what new movie has come out, or television show has wrapped up, or something like that. But a lot of the times we're just like, yeah, I like other stuff too.
Yeah.
And we never really get to talk about that other stuff. So I really like these episodes to be like, what else are you into that I can't fill a whole episode with?
Yeah.
So what are you into currently? Like, what is the one? Like, what's the thing that you have watched, read, listened to, and you're like, you should do this? Speaking of, sorry, before that, I did watch Bo Burnham's.
That's right, you did.
Inside Me, because we never actually do a follow up on Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Like, did you actually watch the thing that, like I said, that I watched? I did watch it. Actually, watched it the next night, over 2 nights with my wife, and we freaking loved it. Told my sister and her husband to watch it, and they watched it, and they loved it. So it's a spreading, a whole 3 other people now know.
Spread the word. Spread the word. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people do get caught up on like, oh, I don't like Bo Burnham, or I've never seen his stuff, or or I actually dislike him, or whatever. But but this is different.
Well, I actually didn't realize. So like, it was you that said he was in Promising Young Woman, and I think in our episode, and I was like, oh, dude, he was so good in that. Like, I didn't realize it was the same man. Now I have to watch it, and I loved it. Like, and we all liked different things. My wife was singing White Woman's Instagram for days. I loved the intern stuff and the internet. But like, from a film guy, like watching the way he edited it and moved it, and between his cinematography, his editing, like it's also limiting his light. It was a really, really cool experiment.
Super cool.
Yeah, like when he spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
So he like opens the door and goes outside.
Yes.
My wife was like, oh, he went outside, like he made it. It's so exciting. And I'm like,
and then
and then he goes back, and then, well, no spoilers here. We'll let you watch it.
Sure. But yeah. Oh, good. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I'm so glad you both enjoyed it. I had a feeling that she would like it as well, but I'm glad
she liked
groovy.
It. So
she is.
Yeah.
I know. She's a woman of taste, so I figured she'd like it as well. But I'm glad she liked it as much as she did, and I'm glad you both liked it so much that you passed it on to other folks too. Yeah. It's I've now watched it 4 times. I recently watched it for the 4th time.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it, but I'm like, I don't know if I ever need to see it again.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, to be fair,
we'll listen to the songs again. So I think there's a difference between sitting down and watching the special again and re-listening to the music.
That's fair. Yeah. It's on Apple Music. It's on Spotify. It's everywhere you can stream music pretty much. Yeah. Welcome to the Internet. Really articulated something that I've been thinking for a long time, and the way he tells it is just so good, so good. That and the Jeff Bezos songs I think are so Jeffrey Bezos. If you listen to the end of episode 3 of Save Me, the Smallville anthology, there's a little Easter egg that is Bo Burnham inspired. But anyway, yeah, I'm so glad you watched it. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. It's so freaking good. But you asked what else I've been watching, and in a similar, not really in a similar vein, but in a musical vein anyway. Have you checked out Central Park on Apple TV Plus?
I haven't, and I've wanted to, and then is it in its second season or its first season? 'Cause
Second.
I remember watching the trailer for the first season going, man, this is funny. Wife, we should watch this. And she's like, I don't really like adult animation. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll never watch it.
Yeah.
And I didn't. So how is it? Tell me.
It's not adult animation in the sense of like Family Guy or
Rick and Morty. Or
no.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's not that kind of where it's like very adult, like oh yeah, we can be vulgar and we can curse and we can have sexual situations and stuff. It's actually quite family oriented. I would say it's probably more for families with like teens and kids maybe on verging on teenage years. But not because of anything vulgar, sexual, mature in that sense, just because it deals with some themes that are just more for like kids who are like 12 plus maybe.
Sure. Okay.
But just that phase of life. But it's about a fictional, it's animated. It's from the people who made Bob's Burgers. So it's that animation style.
Do like Bob's Burgers.
Love Bob's
My
Burgers.
wife also likes Bob's Burgers.
So then,
for someone who doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So
then it's literally the creator of Bob's Burgers created this, and it's the same animation style. But imagine it's Bob's Burgers.
Cranberry sauce.
Yes.
Sorry.
Linda. Oh, Bobby. But okay, so it's Bob's Burgers, but imagine Bob's Burgers, but musical. It's a musical. Like there are songs throughout every episode. And
I'm on board for that.
And instead of being a family who runs a restaurant, it is a family who runs Central Park in New York. Like it's the dad is like
not a thing, but okay.
Not a thing.
Yeah.
It's purely fictional, but it's a cute idea of like, okay, what if there was like a family that ran the park and they live in a house in the park because that's like the park ranger lives in the park or whatever. And he's like the dad is in charge of the staff at the park. Like there's other staff. It's not like just the families. Like but he's the boss. He's the head park ranger of Central Park is the premise. And he's played by Leslie Odom Jr. The wife is Catherine Hahn. There is an evil elderly woman who lives next to the park who is trying to take over the park. She's like a hotel tycoon. And
she's played by Dan Stevens?
Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic. And her assistant is played by Daveed Diggs. So you got Leslie Odom and Daveed Diggs. It is so terrific. Like the family are like Bob's Burgers. They love each other. They're just like, it's very pure and sweet. And there's so much heart in it. And in the second season, they've gone like they're pushing the envelope a lot in terms of like, there's an entire episode of just the sort of preteen daughter. She copes with her surroundings and she's becoming a teenager. She's like dealing with boys and all the things that you deal with in like middle school, verging on high school, where life is changing and things are crazy for you and hormones and all that stuff. She copes with it by like drawing on making drawings.
That's good.
And there's an entire episode that just takes place in her drawings. Like the drawings come to life, and she works out her like her psychological stuff, her mental health stuff that she's working through as a preteen, going through puberty and everything in her drawings, in like comic strips that she's drawing, and the entire episode takes place in just that. So they go a little off the rails, and I mean that in a good way, where they're like pushing the format a little bit, and where there's not really it's not a story about the family in that episode. It's just really just her drawings. There's like 5 minutes where we pull out from the drawings and go to the dinner table, and then we go back. So like they're doing some really cool experimental stuff, and they really touch on some sort of in a Bo Burnham way, touch on some like really like touching, like borderline serious topics, not as depressing as Inside, but like, wow, we're really going to talk about what it's like to be a teenager and feel like, do I get to be me, or do I have to pretend to be another version of me that people will accept for the rest of my life? That kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
That's like, wow, like really fundamental and really like pulls at the heartstrings and makes you think and makes you feel feelings. And it's, there's one episode in season 2 that ends with like probably like a 10-minute no dialogue, music only, animated short a la Fantasia.
Oh,
That tells a really beautiful story.
The trailer doesn't sell it that way.
It didn't start that way. Season 1 was not that way. It was much more traditional, and there was an overarching story for the season. It was much more Bob's Burgers, but if there was an arc for the season. And then season 2, they were like, okay, cool. We get to stick around now. Let's have some fun. Let's play in this sandbox. And they're doing some really cool stuff.
How many episodes?
8 per season.
Oh, so
8 or 10, I think.
20 minutes, half hour.
Exactly, 25 minutes. So breezy. You can watch a couple of them a night and knock it out in a few nights each season. And it's got a lot of heart. It's really beautiful, heartwarming, and I highly recommend Apple TV Plus. Which, by the way, Apple TV Plus is only like $5 a month. Which you
so cheap
from
quality
Apple,
content.
You would expect Apple to be overpriced.
Yeah. I know it's the one thing that's not.
I think because the devices are overpriced, and that's subsidizing the cost of the network, and they're just sort of like $5 a month. Come in the tent.
Yeah, you know what? Buy an Apple device, have it for 10 years for free. We don't even care.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like whatever. No, it's so true though. Actually, what I've been, it just finished. My wife and I watched Schmigadoon.
Oh yeah.
Which is the Chuck Lorre. Is Chuck Lorre? Yeah, it's the Chuck Lorre. No, is it Chuck? No,
I don't know who's behind it, but I know it's Keegan Michael Key and
pretty sure
Cecily
Chuck
Strong,
who is the guy behind The Big Bang Theory and whatever else. But he, or maybe it's Lorne Michaels. I can't remember. Either one. It's driving me crazy. But
I'm going to use my one lookup while you tell me about it.
Thank you. So it's about a couple. Cecily Strong and Keegan Michael Key. They're not a middle-aged couple. They're our age. Whatever. It hurts. They're a 30-some-ish, 40-some-ish couple, both doctors, and they're having some relationship issues, and they go on this like relationship hike thing where they're like supposed to give their hearts to each other kind of thing. Like it's just like a rock with their name on it, and they somehow end up in this place in the middle of the woods called Schmigadoon, which is just a parody of every musical from the 40s, 50s, and 60s that you can think of. So it's like parody of Sound of Music and Music Man and Brigadoon and, like Kiss Me Kate and, like whatever, any of those shows. And they have to, in classic musical fashion, basically have to prove their love for each other to be able to leave Schmigadoon, so they can't get out without basically fulfilling the quest or whatever. But it's hilarious, especially if you know musicals. Like it's good if you don't, because truthfully, Keegan Michael Key and Cecily Strong are okay. Like they're fine. Like they're not
okay singers or actors in general, or
actually. So Cecily actually has a very nice voice, actually. And so, but is like their acting and whatever else is it's a little stilted. Like it actually feels like they like it's a lot of improv, and they're kind of improving their way through a scene to get to the next one, because that's a strength of both of them. But you can kind of feel that in relation to the other scenes that are very much scripted. But the supporting cast is amazing. Alan Cumming and Kristen Chenoweth and Martin Short, Aaron Tveit, and they all have their musical caricatures, I guess. So like Kristen Chenoweth is like she's like the women's group from like the mayor's wife from The Music Man. Where you're like, you can't do this thing like Balzac. That must be a dirty book, like she's like that lady, and there's more people that you'll recognize if you watch it. But we found there's 6 episodes and they're half an hour each, so it's like completely like it's so watchable. It's so easy. Found the first 3 episodes stronger than the last 3.
Okay.
Mostly because the first 3 I think are just funnier into like where the story is. It's a little fish out of water in the first 3, and it's less so in the second half. So I just didn't find it. I found it engaging, but not as funny. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah. This has been on my radar since the promos started, and the last couple nights in a row. Marissa and I have been sitting here, been like, oh yeah, we're gonna catch up on what's on our DVR, and then we're gonna start Schmigadoon. And every night, like the DVR stuff has been longer than we expected, so we haven't gotten there yet. But it's like
correct.
This week we are determined to start Schmigadoon. And from the sounds of it, as short as it is, we'll probably finish it this week too. But
oh yeah,
I didn't realize the first season had ended already. So that's
yeah, it's just those 6, and that's it. I don't even know if it's pretty much a complete story, so I don't even know if it's like, would you do it? Like, I don't know if, like, I think it's a one and done.
Like, yeah, will there even be a season 2?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's a complete musical story.
Got it.
So
cool.
Yeah, so I highly recommend that. And this is not something to dive into immediately right now because I know you're watching it and I am. But Ted Lasso, it's on Apple TV Plus.
Yes,
everyone watch it.
Yes,
it's amazing.
Season 2's been great so far.
It has been. Did you watch the Christmas episode?
I did.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was so wonderful.
It's so wonderful. Yeah. Do you have a favorite character on Ted Lasso? Yeah, right. Me too.
Again.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time he just growls or like, it's so good.
Did you notice that I had a favorite? I had a favorite right. I was ready, Tim. Are you proud of me?
Yes.
Are you proud of me? I'm at the ready.
So proud of you.
You were like barely had finished saying it, and I was like, had the answer.
And you knew it was Roy Kent too.
It is Roy Kent.
Like,
it is Roy Kent.
I don't mean to alarm you, but I think you might be dying.
When he's sweet, he's very sweet. When he's angry, he's so angry. I love his relationship with his 9-year-old niece.
Me too.
Oh my god!
Because they're kind of he and Keely are kind of parenting her. But like my wife said, they're actually doing like a good job.
They're good. They complement each other well. But in that Christmas episode, and I won't give anything away, but please watch it. But when they were sort of walking through town and going door to door like they were doing to find the information they were looking for, I was like, if these two don't have a child of their own at some point, I will be so disappointed because they're actually quite good parents.
I completely agree. What I actually really liked about the season so far, in that we're only 4 episodes in at the time that we were recording this, I think, that it's an ensemble piece now.
Yeah,
like it's not just it's like it was the story of many people, but it's mostly about Ted in the first season. And this season, Ted's almost kind of taking a back seat
a little bit,
and it's like a little bit his story, but it's really everyone's story. And I just think that's great because everyone in the cast is stellar, and they're all interesting, and I love it so much.
I love it so much.
Good. It's really one of the best shows. Like you have a few shows like where you're just like, I will watch this forever.
Yeah.
Right. You have like Smallville's one for you.
Sure.
Friends is one for me. Like we just like these comfort shows. Downton Abbey, one for my wife and I. Just always will watch it. And Ted Lasso has, I think it's just like risen to that occasion. Like it just makes me happy. And I'm happy to spend time with these characters over and over again. I
couldn't agree more. It just makes me happy. And I eagerly look forward to every episode every week. And,
me too.
And like, I want to wait to watch it until I can give it my full attention. Like if it comes out Friday, it comes out on Fridays. And if I'm not in a place on Friday to give it my full attention, I'm like, let's watch this tomorrow when I can actually appreciate it. Because I just want to give it the space it deserves. It's so freaking good.
I totally agree. Actually, and like Schmigadoon and Ted Lasso were coming out both on Friday,
right.
So it was like either we do a double header, or we were like, let's save one.
Yeah,
question mark?
That's what we've been doing with Central Park because those come out on Fridays too. So and it's been sort of concurrent with Ted Lasso for the last couple of weeks. So yeah, we've been doing like a double headers or like you say.
I'm a little tired, so pick one that I don't like as much and save the other one for another day.
Yeah. Yep. Whichever one I'm looking forward to more, I'll save to when I can pay more attention to it.
Yeah. What else are you into right now?
Well, I just watched season 2 of I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, which is
what is that?
So that's this is one that I was talking about it a lot on Instagram and on Twitter in the last few weeks as it was ramping up for its second season. It is a sketch comedy show. I Think You Should Leave. Sketch comedy show on Netflix. 2 seasons so far. Each episode is only like 15, 16 seconds. 15, 16 minutes.
I was like, holy moly.
That is a quick one. No, 15, 16 minutes, no more than 20 per episode, 6 episodes per season. We're talking 90-minute seasons.
Wow.
Yeah. Each season is the length of a movie. And it is very weird, very bizarre, off the wall, absurdist style of comedy. A little bit SNL, a little bit Monty Python, but with a Midwestern sensibility. It's by Tim Robinson, who was a writer on SNL for like one season and either left or got fired. I'm not sure which, because he wasn't really a good fit because he was a little bit too off the wall for SNL. Actually, I take that back. He wasn't. He was a writer for a couple of seasons, and he was a performer for one season, and then I think he left. He was on camera for one season, and then he left. But so he's written this show with Sam Richardson from Veep.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're best buds. They're best friends from growing up in Detroit. And I don't know if you're familiar with the show Detroiters on Comedy Central, but they did that together too.
I do not know that show.
It was a sitcom that they did for 2 seasons, the two of them together, and it's actually also delightful and heartwarming about 2 best friends who run an ad agency in Detroit. And it's just like they're just friends. They're just like really good friends, and they're best buds, and they're like silly and have silly adventures together. It's kind of like I Love Lucy-ish, where like Ethel and Lucy would get into trouble. It's kind of like that, where these two guys get in trouble. But anyway, I think You Should Leave is just it's sketches that have nothing to do with one another. It's just like SNL, where it's just sort of sketch after sketch after sketch, but pre-taped instead of in front of a live audience. And oh my goodness, it is my favorite comedy of the last few years because it is just so completely ridiculous. The basic, if I had to like boil it down, the basic sort of recurring theme of all the sketches across both seasons is like, what if you found yourself in an embarrassing situation where embarrassing social situation, and instead of being like, oops, sorry, my mistake, you just kept doubling down, even though it was so obvious that you were wrong. So I'll give away one example. So the very first sketch of the very first episode of the very first season is a guy has a job interview at a coffee shop, and it goes well, and they're wrapping up the interview, and he's like, all right, well, I hope I hear from you soon. And he goes to leave the coffee shop, and he pushes the door instead of pulling it. We've all done it, right? You pull instead of push. What do? You laugh it off.
I've done it today. Yeah.
Right. Probably. We do it all the time. You laugh it off, and you're like, oh, sorry, silly me, whatever. You walk on. But instead, he doubles down. He's like, oh, no. The door actually goes both ways. And the guy's like, what? Yeah, no, it goes both ways. I was here yesterday, and it goes both ways. And he's like, oh, okay. And so now he said it goes both ways, so he has to prove himself right. So he pulls it off the hinges to prove himself right. And like literally he's sweating, and like there's dramatic music, and he's like literally breaking the door off his hinges to not be wrong and to not lose this job that he just interviewed for. It's that kind of humor where it's just like people get into like mildly embarrassing situations, and instead of just owning up to it, they just double down and triple down and quadruple down and never give up. And they go through incredible lengths to not be proven wrong about some silly little thing.
So good.
That would have been better if they just said, oops, but they refuse. That's sort of it varies from there. There are some that go off that premise, but that's sort of the basic premise throughout is like, what if you just never admitted you were wrong? And the craziness, if you took that to its craziest logical conclusion, what happens?
I am 100% down for that.
It's bananas. Like, it's
will
stupid.
Watch that.
I love it. It's stupid. So it's been something that I was very excited for season 2. I've been waiting like 2 or 3 years for season 2, and it finally came. Got delayed because of COVID. And it finally just dropped, I think 4th of July weekend. And, oh my goodness, so worth the wait. It lived up to the hype in every way. And I watched season 1, Tim. I don't know how many times I've watched season 1, but it is upwards of 10.
Oh my gosh.
Upwards of 10 times. Yeah, I've watched it a lot. And that's not counting the times that I watched just one sketch because I was in the mood for it again.
Sure.
Like it's something really special. And season 2 I've only watched like twice, but I plan to watch it much more than that. So I think You Should Leave on Netflix. Highly recommend. It's not for everyone. It is a weird style of comedy. Some of the sketches won't land, some of the jokes won't land, but it's also the kind of thing with the more you watch it, the more jokes you pick up that you missed the first time. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my spiel.
All right, I'm going to try that. I've got one that I think that you'll like. Actually, that's not, scratch that from the record. You will like this.
Oh, okay.
And you might have heard of it. It was recommended to me kind of offhand by a friend of mine. It's called Miranda. Have you ever heard of it?
I don't think so.
It's a British sitcom. It's on Hulu. It's 3 seasons. It is written by, produced by whatever, starring Miranda Hart, who is a British actress. She's like 6'1", and she's on Call the Midwife, which my wife loves.
Sure. Okay.
So I have that you might have heard of that show. It's not for me, but she loves it.
Okay.
But anyway, so it's a sitcom about a 30-some-odd woman who owns a joke shop that her best friend runs, and her mom is just constantly trying to marry her off. But it's based on Miranda Hart's real life.
Oh, funny.
It started as a BBC radio show, transformed into a sitcom, and now there's an Americanized sitcom that she's producing and writing, starring Mian Bialik.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right. So, which was on Fox and already had its first season, I think, and it was renewed for its second already. But it was 6. But the kind of the conceit of the show, besides what I said, is that it's a single cam comedy, but she knows the camera's there. And she talks to the audience, even though nobody else knows. So
Gotcha.
She breaks the fourth wall. She'll make faces. She'll make comments, all that stuff. But none of it happens. And she's just the most awkward duck in the whole world. So we just watched an episode where everyone, all of her friends and whatever else. I think it's Tom Ellis is his name. He plays Lucifer on the show Lucifer.
Oh, okay. I know who that
so
is.
It's before, yeah. But anyway, he's her one of her best friends, and so they're all getting on her oh, you're not adventurous, you won't go do a thing, and she's like, what? I'm going to Thailand right now. I'm going to call the airport. So she's Googling. She's Googling her thing, and she's like, obviously I'm not going, but what's oh, what's that? The Village, Surrey, or whatever, right around the corner. I know where that is. So she books herself a staycation in a hotel around the corner from her apartment. Literally around the corner. And there's a Palms background thing. So she takes photos. She's Thailand's great. But she's just ordering room service and having really awkward conversations with the guy that comes up the thing, and she's like, a pants press? I gotta go home and get all my pants to iron them. So she comes up with a way to go home to get her pants to come back. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's funny.
It's just as much as it's just as feel good and non-thinky as your Ted Lassos or anything else. It's just so mindless, and she's so funny. She's just so on board. So even the credits are just her kids photos and graduation photos, and they're all her real photos, her real life. So you see how awkward she was growing up and all this stuff. And her supporting cast is fun. They're strong. They have good personalities. Her mom is always her mom's catchphrase is what I like to call blah blah blah, but it's something normal, oh, I'm going to what I like to call a vacation. And she's like, no, Mom, you're actually going on a vacation. You're going on a cruise. That's a vacation. You don't just call it that. Everyone calls it that.
Right.
I'm getting into what I call a taxi. No, Mom, that's just a
just
taxi.
What it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on Hulu. It's 6 episodes of the first season. They're really short, and so they're half an hour a piece. But they are hilarious because so much of it is just I'm 6'1". I've never dated anybody before. I stumble over everything, and frankly, I'm okay with that. And it's her mom who's pushing her to do like all these other things. Like there's an episode where she like to get out of getting set up, she tells her mom she's gay. And then her mom's like, "Oh, that party I was going to have to set you up. Now it could just be a coming out party. I'm so happy for you." Oh, no. So now.
Oh, my God.
But on top of that, it's a themed party. So it's not just a party. It's a Pride and Prejudice party. So everyone is dressed up like they're in Pride and Prejudice. And so
oh, my God.
It's so funny.
That sounds very funny. That does sound like something I would like.
We put it on kind of like just kind of like, okay, but like, well, maybe, like, my friend who recommended it to me, like, has good, good taste. He likes, he likes The Office, he likes this, whatever else. And so he's big into reality TV. And so like, I'm like, well, some of the things I like, some of them I don't. So I'll try it. And we were in on the pilot. Like, we were like, yes, this is for me. This is so mindless. So what we end up doing, this already. So we end up we watch an episode of Xena Warrior Princess, which is our other what are we watching? Which is, I have to tell you, there's sometimes I watch Xena and I'm like, this is like just an episode of Wishbone with Xena. Like the way that it's filmed, the costumes, like the light, like all of it is just like, it feels like a Wishbone episode, but instead it's just Xena going and then she kicks butt instead. It's fun. It's like, it's so stupid and fun. It's been great. So our TV time it's just been wildly, it's all over the place.
Fantastic.
Here's this British sitcom from the early 2000s. He's Xena Warrior Princess. Here's Ted Lasso and Schmigadoon. We're all over the map. We're
all
just
over
not
the place.
Consistent.
I love it. I was gonna wrap it up, but I actually have one more. Can I just squeeze in one more before we say goodbye?
Of course, yeah. Squeeze.
Talking about breaking the fourth wall and all of that reminded me of a show I've been wanting to recommend to you for a while. I don't know if the whole show is for you, but I think you would at least enjoy the pilot, if nothing else, from a sort of cinematic and movie making, filmmaking perspective, just because of the way the show is put together. So it's called Kevin Can F Himself, and it's on AMC. It just started. It just ended its first season.
I don't have cable, so I can't watch it.
Okay. Well, Prime has the first episode available to watch for free.
I can watch that.
Yes. In fact, I think it has the first 2 or 3 available to watch for free. But I would highly recommend just watching the first. Again, I'm not sure if it's really your kind of show generally, but the premise and the way it's put together is fascinating. So imagine you've seen Everybody Loves Raymond, right?
Yeah.
Or like pretty much any other sitcom that's about like the husband and wife, and the husband is kind of a slob and sort of a boys will be boys kind of guy, and the pretty wife is sort of a wife / mother who's sort of cleaning up after him and chasing him around, and she's always the one who's like cleaning up his messes. And he's sort of the boyish, roguish. He can get away with murder because he's cute enough, or he's sweet enough, or whatever. And he gets away with all the terrible antics. And the wife just sort of cleans up his messes. Okay, now juxtapose that premise, a 3-camera sitcom, brightly lit, real studio audience, all that stuff. Juxtapose that with a Breaking Bad, darkly lit show about like stress and wanting to kill your spouse because they're driving you crazy.
Well, that took a weird turn, but I'm kind of interested.
So every time Kevin is it's Kevin and Allison is the married couple. Every time Kevin is in the room, it turns into the brightly lit Everybody Loves Raymond sitcom with a laugh track and the wacky neighbor next door, and Kevin and the wacky neighbor get into all kinds of weird antics, and they live in Worcester, Mass, so they have big parties to celebrate the Patriots and all this stuff. And then the second Kevin leaves the room and it's just Allison alone in the room having to clean up his mess, literally the lighting changes, it turns dark, the camera angles change, and I'm
using my one lookup to look at pictures, and like there's a very discernible difference between clearly sitcom, like it's a stage set, and like they're outside. This is the real world. This is
right.
This is blue blue lighting.
Yes.
Like even the house looks like All in the Family.
It literally looks like All in the Family, Cosby Show.
It's modeled on that. It's the same. Like there's a little galley window and the stairs in the back and the striped wallpaper. Like that's just All in the Family.
The whole thing. And it literally, like the second he leaves the room, it turns into like it's called Kevin Can F Himself, because the premise is that she it's flipping the sort of everybody loves Raymond's, lovable scamp husband thing on its head, where it's like from the point of view of the wife who's constantly cleaning up his messes and constantly going, chasing her around to fix things up. Like, oh, sorry, I forgot our anniversary. And it's like, you jerk, that was our anniversary. That really mattered to me. And you just acted like it was nothing. On one of those sitcoms, it would be sort of like, oh, but it's okay because deep down he really loves her. They filmed in the area that I used to work. Yes, they actually filmed in Massachusetts.
Brockton, Milton, Hingham, Canton, Randolph. Those are my towns.
I know.
Maybe not anymore. I don't work in that area anymore. But
yes,
they were up until 2 months ago.
Exactly. So it's very good. It's very meta. It's very, very good. If you've watched Schitt's Creek, it has Andy Murphy, who from that show, who played Alexis.
I actually know Eric Peterson, the husband.
Oh, you do?
He was on The Big Bang Theory. He was he was like Leonard's bully or something like that.
Oh, that tracks, because that's kind of the kind of character he plays.
Okay.
And Robin Lord Taylor from Gotham, who was Penguin on Gotham, is in this show.
Is he?
He's great.
I'm glad that he...
Totally different kind of character. Boston accent. Totally, completely different kind of guy. Oh, that's great.
I'm glad that he landed somewhere else, because he was really one of the best parts of that
show. He's excellent. So anyway, great show. I think for you in particular, Tim, watch the pilot when you have 40 minutes, because it is really interesting to watch that juxtaposition of the styles. And if you like it, continue it. But if not, just watching the pilot itself will give you that, like, wow, what an interesting metafiction sort of style of storytelling.
So I have a question. When you said like Breaking Bad, does it involve like drug running and stuff like that? Or is it just like you're just going for like the dark drama that you were familiar with?
I'm referring more to the dark drama and the
okay.
color palette and the style in which it's shot and the camera work. It is an AMC show after all, and that's, Breaking Bad was an AMC show. So it has that sort of a look to it. It does take a very sinister turn in the latter half of the season, which I found very interesting and very fascinating. And that's where Robin Lord Taylor comes in, is the second half of the season. And I won't give that away, but if you enjoy the first couple of episodes, and you enjoy this, like, wow, like what if that story was told from the wife's point of view? And if she was a real person with real feelings, how would she feel with that person being her actual husband? It's very, very well done and very cool the way that they play around with what happens when people leave the room. Like, it's sort of, you think you know what the rules are. Oh, Kevin leaves the room, it turns dark. And then later in the season that they introduce new elements to that you didn't realize were there. I'm not going to give away more than that, but there are other people who impact when the storytelling changes, other than just Kevin, which I found very, very exciting and interesting once it happened, because I wasn't expecting it. So anyway, that's it. I won't keep anybody any longer unless you have something else to add, Tim. But I would also throw that one in there because it's a really interesting show that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did, but it really, really grabbed me and kept me for the full 8 episodes or whatever.
Yeah, no, as far as for like our non-superhero, non-sci-fi, non-anything, like, that we just did, like, I'm good, because everything else is fairly superhero-ish oriented.
Yeah, right on.
I did just read The Kite Runner and Life of Pi, because I'm catching up on literature I should have read 20 years ago or whatever. But both are excellent, and if you haven't read The Kite Runner, especially what's happening in the world right now, I would recommend. So that was it. That's pretty much it.
Nice. Great recommendations. Great recommendations all around.
Yeah, man. Frank, where can the people find us?
Hey, you can head on over to beerwithgeeks.com and find all the episodes of this show. All the show notes are there if they're not already popping up in your podcast app. I know some apps, Apple Podcasts and some others, are a little weird about links and things like that. So if you ever have a hard time, if I mention I'm throwing something in the show notes, go to beerwithgeeks.com and find the episode you're listening to. You'll find the links in the show notes there. You can also go to while you're in Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Spotify or whatever app you listen to podcasts in, you can leave us a rating or a review. That actually means a whole lot to us, and not just because it makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside, which it does, but because it actually helps the show get discovered more. So please do that, and also rate and review the other shows on the Thought Bubble Audio Network at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. Our friends over at Hate Watch with us on their most recent episode, a recent episode, were talking about they were looking through their reviews and they were like, wait, why does Beer with Geeks not have any 2-star reviews? So I'm proud to say we have no 2-star reviews. But if you we don't.
I'm looking that
Kirsten
up now.
and Kelsey said we don't. But we might have.
I believe them.
We might have a 1-star review here or there from somebody who.
Well, that was from our mortal enemy.
Hated us out of spite, but apparently we don't have any 2 stars. So don't get any ideas. Keep it 4 and 5 stars, and give.
We actually don't have any 3. We don't have any 3-star reviews either.
There you go. People love.
We only have 5 stars, 4 stars, and then 1 star. All right.
Well, let's get more 4 and 5 stars, and more 4 and 5 stars for this episode. That 100-calorie IPA really hit me. More 4 and 5 stars.
I'm reading one out loud.
Us.
We never do.
That's true. We haven't done this in a while.
I'm reading one from Nick 2015, who said 5 stars. Gotta love it. Tim and Frank are 2 funny guys that have informed discussions about truly unnecessary topics. That is so true. Nick 2015.
Thank you.
They have a deep love and admiration for Star Wars, DC, Marvel, Disney, old school TV shows, and Christmas movies, amongst other things. They play trivia and often ask each other to do things like mentally recasting comic book characters. I'm around their age, and a lot of the topics they reminisce about really bring me back to my childhood, which is really what the purpose of the show was originally. So I'm glad that you wrote that.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Me too. Yeah. Even things I never partook in are enjoyable to listen to because you can hear the nostalgia in their voices when they talk about them. That was so nice. Thank you, Nick 2015.
Thank you so much.
Unless you want it to be 2015, which I'm kind of again saying like at that. So it's going to be 2015.
No, that is
we didn't say the year of our Lord 1999. So therefore, we shouldn't say 2015 or
I agree.
2021. No, it's 2021.
Too many syllables.
Too many.
Anyway, thank you for that, Nick 2015, and thank you to everyone who has left those ratings and reviews. And please leave ratings and reviews for all the great shows at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. And if you want to go a step further, if you're like, I already left a review. I reviewed you guys 3 years ago, and I don't know what else to do to support Beer with Geeks, and I'm dying to. I'm desperate, Frank. I'm desperate to support Beer with Geeks. What can I do? Well, have I got an idea for you? You can head on over to patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio, and for $1 a month, you can keep this show on the airwaves. And by airwaves, I mean internet. And Wi-Fi has airwaves, so that works. That will help support us and help us keep doing this show and all the shows at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. Patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. Thank you to everybody who supports us in all the places and tweets at us at Beer with Geeks and emails us at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. This was a much longer plug segment than I intended it to be, but now here we are, Tim, and I am just happy for the place that we are in, and I don't know why I am talking like Nixon. I am not a crook.
Aren't you, though?
Nah.
To be determined next time on Beer with Geeks. So until next time,
cheers.